and welcome to another lecture of the course Aquaculture. Today we are going to talk about culture methods of tiger prawn, Penaeus monodon. We shall be discussing culture methods of Penaeus monodon in two lectures. Today we shall be talking about part 1 of the lecture. We know that of the total crustacean species, high valued shrimp contribute maximum in terms of quantity as well as in terms of value. In fact, in 2021, about 12 million tons of crustaceans were produced, and of that, about 61% of the total crustaceans produced were high valued shrimps. And this Penaeus monodon has been one of the most important crustaceans, high valued shrimp that are being produced. Although in recent times its production, its share has declined. Penaeus monodon culture, in fact, if you go to understand the culture history, that how production rather of Penaeus monodon over the years, then it took a momentum in 1980s, then showed excellent growth rate in 1990s. In fact, it was dominating like anything. But in 2000s, with the establishment of white-legged shrimp, that Penaeus venemi, or that is also now being called as Litopenaeus venemi. When this venemi was transported to many other countries for culture, and its culture technologies were standardized, then it became very popular. And in fact, now the share of Penaeus venemi or Litopenaeus venemi, what you call, is much more than any other shrimp. Here in this diagram, you can see global aquaculture production of shrimps and prawns from 1980 to 2020. And here you can see that it started to increase from 1980s and went on increasing, and during these years up to 2000 or so, Penaeus monodon was dominating. But then venemi came, and venemi culture dominated a lot, and it caused an increase in the production of shrimps. And here in 2020, the production is excellent. Global aquaculture production of Penaeus monodon from 1980 to 2020. As I was telling you, from 1980, it started to take a momentum, and in 1990s, it dominated like anything. And then it has not showed too much of increase in terms of rate of growth, but it is still one of the most important species of shrimps being produced and in popular demand worldwide. Global aquaculture production of Penaeus monodon from 1984 to 2020 in terms of market value. Its market value has never been very low, and recently you can see that market value has increased. As I was telling you, that introduction of Litopenaeus venemi, that to many Asian countries, like in India also, we are having venemi production to a very large scale, and it's not an indigenous species of, but we are having this Litopenaeus venemi culture going on in many countries. So this introduction of Litopenaeus venemi to many Asian countries, and occurrence of many diseases in case of Penaeus monodon culture, like vibriosis, then WSS, WSV, what we call white spot syndrome, white spot virus in Penaeus monodon, that in fact prompted fish farmers to shift from Penaeus monodon culture to Litopenaeus venemi. Of the total world shrimp production, in fact, if you observe the status, this venemi contributes about huge 83%, approximately 83% or more than 83%. And monodon contributes approximately 12%, you can say, slightly less than 12%. So, share-wise, monodon has come down. Monodon is not contributing as much as vanemi, but it is still one of the important species among the shrimps being cultured worldwide. Um, there are many developing countries like Bangladesh where this shrimp culture is going on, still rely heavily on broodstock obtained from the wild and seed production purposes in hatcheries. So, that is one of the problems, that if uh, seed supply is not guaranteed, seed supply when we do it in controlled conditions, that means you are getting good quality seed in desired numbers at the desired point of time. So, your culture practice will not be hampered. But still there are many regions where these hatcheries are not working properly. They still rely, for broodstock especially, they rely on the wild. What are different suitable characteristics which make Penaeus monodon special for culture? Because one of the reasons is because it is having large size, as we have already discussed, female 35 centimeter and males about 34 centimeter. It shows faster growth rate, high survival, and it is not very vulnerable to handling stress. And there are standardized protocols for successful breeding of Penaeus monodon in captivity. Now, how should we select site for Penaeus monodon culture? As I have told you, in case of fishes also, here also we need to have follow certain criteria which can make the farming successful and management of farm easy and efficient. It should be far from congested and polluted area. Ultimately, that will hamper the aquatic ecosystem also, where you are going to culture your prawn. It should be near the source of spawners. If the spawners or the young ones you are carrying from very far place, or very place having very different kind of ecological conditions, then there could be some or the other kind of problems. It should be taken care that if the source of spawners are nearby, then it is always a good um, condition. Availability of freshwater source. The freshwater source should also be, apart from what you are getting, the marine water or brackish water, you should also have a good source of fresh water, because you may be needing different salinity conditions for certain stages. So, you need to have availability of such sources ready at hand, so that there is no problem in the management. Proper technical management, you must have a little know-how of the uh, technicalities required to culture Penaeus monodon, and a little bit of training or skills related to different um, stages of Penaeus monodon culture must be there for a successful Penaeus monodon culture. The soil should be clay loam, coastal sites where the slopes run gently towards the sea. That is always advisable to have to select regions like this. And this is last one is again very important, because it should be connected, um, well connected, having good transport facility, so that for whatever reason, for feed, for seed, or getting the prawn harvested and taking it to the market, every such aspect will be done very efficiently and easily. These are the water quality parameters which have been recommended. In fact, Penaeus monodon in Taiwan, you will get many such kind of tables from a lot of researchers, and if you visit the web page of many institutions in India also, you will get a suitable range for culture of these Penaeus monodon or other related species. So, here what has been uh, recommended: 28 to 33 degree temperature, pH 8 to 8.5, DO 3.7 ppm although they have written critical, but it's again always advisable to have dissolved oxygen more than 5 ppm. So 5, 6 or 7 ppm, that is considered good. Salinity 15 to 25 ppt. Then heavy metals, you should take care, not only listed here, but it depends on the region where you are doing that, what kind of heavy metal infestation you are having, or what are the chances of contamination of what kind of heavy metals. So they should be kept in range. Now, what are different culture practices that we adopt or we use for Penaeus monodon culture? Traditionally, we all know that usually what we do, we do it in ponds, and what we do, the farming of monodon involves direct stocking of either wild stock or seeds into the ponds. So sometimes brooders, are collected from the wild, and they are kept into the ponds so that everything will go on naturally, and ultimately you will get the fry, and ultimately when they grow up and you will harvest. So whether you are releasing brood stock in the confined waters, ponds, or you are releasing seeds, if you are getting, then both things can be done, and this was the traditional method, and this is the traditional method in many places. With the advancement in breeding technology of Penaeus monodon, when people standardize the breeding protocols of Penaeus monodon in captivity, then and this was as back as 1970s. So many of the Asian countries, they started doing extensive, semi-intensive, and small scale intensive farming of Penaeus monodon. In fact, what we have discussed in quite detail in case of fishes about extensive, semi-intensive and intensive farming, that is in fact applicable to all kind of aquatic organisms, especially prawns. If I'm not extending that to mussel and algal culture, they may be having different conditions and different requirements. But here in case of prawns, that is applicable. And whatever culture system, depending on the requirement of the stakeholder, extensive, semi-intensive or small scale intensive farming, that was being started in many places across the Asian countries. So this is a diagram where it is shown that how the culture system operates. Here the seawater of 30 to 34 ppt, wild brood stock have been taken, wild spawner, and they have been kept in maturation tank for 1 to 3 months, and then spawning tank, and ultimately hatching occurred, nuclei you can get. Here rematuration can be done by eye stalk ablation, and you can get the cycle again. Now there are different stages of the larvae which are shown here: nuclei, then protozoa, meiosis, and post larvae, and wild seed then that can be used to stock either in extensive pond, that will then become adult in about 6 months, more than 6 months, about 50 gram size, and you can get it by rearing the nuclei into the larval rearing tank, and post larvae can be used either in semi-intensive or intensive culture system. And here also, after about 5 to 6 months, in case of semi-intensive it is written 5 to 6 months, in case of intensive 3 to 5 months, you can get 20 to 35 gram of prawn, and here is case of semi-intensive system, 30 to 45 gram of prawn you can get in 5 to 6 months, and here in extensive system you raise it more than 6 months and you get about more than 50 gram of prawn. So that is how it is done, and it all depends on, if you are getting less weight in case of intensive, but you are harvesting it early in 3.5 to 5 months. So that way economics operates, and you get more profit in case of intensive compared to other systems. Now, how we do pond culture, or the traditionally what is being still undertaken in many places. The same managed preparation systems as we have discussed earlier: clean the pond, drying and desilting, then plowing the bottom to get rid of any cysts or any kind of pathogens which may be there, and any kind of you know conditions of the soil which can prove harmful later on. So and then elimination of predatory organisms, eliminated by poisoning with highly degradable pesticides. This we also have discussed, that there are many biological materials which can be used to kill the predatory or organisms or weed organisms which you do not desire in your pond. So that can be used. For example, here they have written saponin from tea seed cake, or we have also discussed a number of variety of these materials which can be used. Then lime is applied, in fact, while after drying and desilting, plowing the pond, lime may be applied that time only, at 200 to 300 kg per hectare. But I have provided you a table of how the lime doses can be calculated according to the condition of the soil, whether the condition is acidic or towards alkaline side or whatever. So depending on that, you can decide the dosage. It's not that this dose range is applicable to one and all. No. Then since we are going to undertake Penaeus monodon culture in the ponds, so we shall be expecting natural food production also. So for that matter, we will have to provide the nutrients. We will have to ensure the supply of the nutrients for primary production or phytoplankton production. So for that matter, we need to use fertilizers and organic manures. Disinfect the water 2 weeks prior to stocking. Chlorination 35 to 50 ppm using calcium hypochlorite. This is very important in case of these prawns. That is a kind of, you can say, prophylaxis that ensures that these prawns, when they are shifted into the pond, they do not get disease easily. Maintaining a water level of 1.4 meters. Then aerate the water depending on the condition, that which region you are having, what kind of stocking density you are having, whether the dissolved oxygen present in the pond is able to take care of the oxygen's demand or requirement of all the prawns or not. You should take care of dissolved oxygen, at your priority, and provide with appropriate aerators that can ensure the dissolved oxygen level at the required point. Stocking of the pond depends upon, of course, the culture practice, whether you are going with extensive aquaculture system. We have already discussed that in case of extensive aquaculture system, we have very low stocking density, and in fact the dependency for food is only on the natural food sources, natural food items, and there is no supplementary feeding in case of extensive aquaculture system. So no food will be added from outside. So stocking density will be low. When we increase the stocking density, then medium stocking density compared to extensive, then what we do, we have to supplement food from outside, because the food available in the natural system will not be enough to provide food for the number of prawns that you have stocked. So we will have to supplement food from outside. Then if you increase stocking density at high level, more than semi-intensive, then of course not only food but water quality also becomes a great concern. So you will have to take care of water quality. In semi-intensive also we manage water quality a little bit, but here you will have to manage water quality as well as food requirement. Entirely will be controlled by you only, and you will not be depending on natural sources for food supply or water quality. Also you will have to take care on your own from outside. Due to its benthic habit, Penaeus monodon is commercially cultured only in earthen ponds, and salinity 2 to 30 ppt. So we have already discussed they are euryhaline species. They can tolerate salinity of a very high range. In extensive system, commonly practiced in many countries. We all know that depending on the conditions, you can just not list every aspect here. Maybe there are many countries whose names are not here, but extensive system maybe they may be practicing. Stocking density, wild seeds at about 2 per square meter area of the pond. Then feeding natural food, fresh fish and or mollusks. You can supplement fresh food, fish or mollusks from outside, or you can simply, if your pond is good, there is no supplementation required, because in extensive system we usually don't provide any supplement. So here it is written supplementary food, but this is not necessary. This is completely optional, because in some of the extensive systems there are some people who occasionally provide food from outside. So that is in fact not in principle supplementary feeding, because you are providing occasional supply, but if needed, this can be done. Harvesting larger sized shrimp, more than 50 grams in 6 months, and yield is about 50 to 500 kilogram per hectare per year. So there are many such kind of small ponds which are being used for extensive culture system of Penaeus monodon in especially in the coastal areas. Semi-intensive aquaculture system, here we are having pond area of about 1 to 5 hectares and 5 to 20 post larvae per square meter area can be used. Water exchange is regularly carried out by tidal and supplemented tidal water and supplemented by pumping. You can do it, you do it. The shrimp feed on natural foods enhanced by pond fertilization and supplemented by artificial diets. Since this is semi-intensive farming system, so there will be supplementation from outside, the natural food will not be enough. And production, you may get yield from 500 to 4,000 kilogram per hectare per year. So if you will go to with little management interventions, you are getting much more yield. So that is one of the advantage of intensifying the system. If you go to further intensify the system in intensive aquaculture, what we do now, intensive aquaculture is being practiced in many countries, not only these countries. In India also we are doing this at various levels in various regions. And stocking density here you can increase to 20 to 60 post larvae per square meter area. So that is quite good compared to others systems. Internal water circulation, here you will have to take care of the water quality. I was telling you, when you intensify, when you go for intensive aquaculture, then the main problem is maintaining the water quality. That is the challenge every hour of the day, every time continuously that is a challenge. Food will be challenged when they are hungry or they are needing energy, but water quality is a continuous challenge that you will have to monitor. So you will have to maintain the water circulation, you will have to supply aeration in order to have good dissolved oxygen content, you will have to keep ammonia and other such kind of organic loads in check. So all those kind of water quality parameters you will have to monitor continuously. So, and feeding, of course, you will not be depending on natural food now. So you will have to provide artificial food maybe 4 to 5 times per day. And this is one thing which usually people don't care. After each feeding, if you are providing it in the trays or putting it at some specific place, please check that if there is any leftover food. If there is any leftover food, then you will have to recalculate the ration size and feeding frequency as well, and rework on that and remove the unutilized food item from the aquatic system as soon as possible. That will otherwise going to hamper your water quality of the pond. And here production, you can see that in 1 hectare only, now we are having 4,000 to 15,000 kilogram of prawn production per hectare per year. So those were some of the very popular culture systems of Penaeus monodon. Now come to cage culture system. Here we culture Penaeus monodon in cages. These cages may be As a concept, you can have, you just have to make one enclosure, which may be supported by bamboo or stainless steel frames, and it must be having some floats so that the cage remains on the water surface, floats on the water surface. And stocking density here you can increase a lot, from 5,000 to 10,000 post larvae per cubic meter of water volume. And feeds given here are maybe, that depends if you are going for artificial food or if you are going to provide the food which is available from natural sources like trash fish or muscle meat, or blended or ground and spread on a feeding net which is positioned vertically inside the net cage. Feeding strategy, the choice of food, the choice of feed ingredients, that must be standardized as per the requirement of the region, the requirement of the species, and the resources you are having at hand. So that you can go for. You can go through my lecture of nutritional and feeding strategies that I talked about. Regular monitoring on a daily basis of cage net damage. This is very important because that is the enclosure where you are keeping your organisms. So cage net should be intact, that should not be damaged. Whenever you see any small damage, go for repair right away. You don't have to wait because you are putting your cage in the natural system. So that becomes a problem. Physico-chemical parameters of water quality, you can say water quality you have to monitor regularly, and quality of the larvae which you have stocked. That is again very necessary because they are vulnerable to many conditions when you are stocking these larvae into your pond, and especially in the initial days you will have to monitor their well-being very closely. This is how cages look like, and you can have your own cage, your maybe some economical design you may have some, but that should be strong enough to hold whatever produce you are having, and that should be easy to manage. These points should be taken into account. So this is 6-meter dia cage is quite common. We usually use 6-meter dia cage, and that is having enough water volume for starting culture of these prawns. Here some examples have been given, that floating cage in protected bays. Here what is the size that is usually recommended or people use for 20 days. 5,000 to 10,000 stocking density can be done at the rate of PL 8 to 10 per cubic meter of water. Survival is 60. That was in fact part of their findings that is being shown here. And similarly in floating cage doesn't mean that you have to put it only in the sea or oceanic area. You can put it in pond also, or reservoir or lakes. If you have a bigger water body where these cages can be fixed, you can use these cages in order to confine the species that you intend to stock. And according to the total volume of water that cage is having, you can decide the stocking density, and according to the management intervention that you are supposed to apply, you can again manipulate the stocking density and the type of food. If you are providing properly and taking care of their oxygen supply and water quality, you will certainly get good survival rate as well as good production. Now recirculatory aquaculture system, the again very popular system that we are having, and this is in fact we have talked about. This is quite popular in case of freshwater aquaculture systems because of immense pressure on freshwater resources for multiple uses by human beings. So we don't have that much of fresh water, so here we have to utilize this system, and this is proving very successful in case of inland aquaculture. Here also you can have RAS for Penaeus monodon culture. one of the best functionally viable aquaculture systems currently being practiced worldwide. And prerequisites for optimal productivity of shrimp under RAS, what are the different prerequisites? Uniform flow rate, fixed water levels, continuous operation. In fact, since you are doing everything under control in controlled conditions, so ultimately the same thing comes, that water quality, the nutrients, the oxygen content, all these things should be managed properly. RAS system has culture tanks, a lamella separator. This is nothing but this is used often in water treatment plants also, for separating suspended particles from water. Since you are going to use again the same water, so that must be having some suspended solids, so you will have to separate them from the water. So basically, suspended particles will be separated from the main liquid part, water, and it's quite popular in case of, I told you, in case of treatment plants and fish farms. And then you will have to use aeration tank, then biofilter. Biofilter is again very necessary for taking care of the organic load, and ammonia is especially, and aeration reservoir, so that when after every step you get better water. Here through a flow chart, it has been shown that from the culture tank, here the CT refers to culture tank, from the culture tank, the water, used water which you have used for culture, this water comes into LS. LS is lamella separator. So in lamella separator, what lamella separator does? It separates the suspended solids from water, and those suspended solids in the form of sludge, they are discharged separately, and the liquid part, water part, that is then transferred to AT, aeration tank, where they are aerated, oxygen content is taken care of, and then through a pump they are that water, aerated water, is now coming to biofilter. In the biofilter, the ammonia and other such parts will be taken care of, and ultimately water in good form, again reusable form in the culture tank, is there in the R, aeration reservoir, where aeration, proper thorough aeration is done, and now this water having very good dissolved oxygen content, almost no pollutants, is ready for again supply to the culture tank, where it will again will be utilized for culture of the species. The same concept we use in any of the RAS system, whether in case of fish or prawn, and this is very useful system, very productive and economical, that can be used for water conservation if you are having problems of water supply, and it gives very good growth rate. FRP tanks with the rounded corner may be used for this purpose. Stocking density may be 40 to 80 per square meter of area. Survival rate is quite good. Feeding 3 to 4 times in a day. Again, I will say that these strategies may be standardized for your own farm or tank or region where you are intending to do. Growth rate, this is what has been reported, but you can have, of course, different growth rates. Regular water and prawn monitoring. If you are doing every management scientifically and monitoring all the parameters related to water, feeding and other things, then you are supposed to get very good performance in terms of growth, survival and produce using RAS system. Advantages of RAS is that it is eco-friendly, since we are utilizing the same water again and again. If you remember, and in 1990s when this Penaeus monodon culture became very popular along the Indian coast also, and at that point of time there were many multinational companies also involved, and they were releasing the used water as such, and that was causing huge loss to our biodiversity, and the water of the surrounding area was becoming polluted, as well as the bottom of those regions. So water and soil both were polluted. So that way it is very eco-friendly. You are not releasing wastewater or polluted water to any other region. You are utilizing the same water. Efficient water management, that's what I am saying. And high productivity, since you are going for intensive culture, you are stocking at a very large number of individuals in the RAS system, you are getting very good production. Prevents from adverse climatic or environmental conditions. If you are going for pond culture or culture in natural environment, then of course you are dependent on many aspects to climatic conditions or natural environment. So if something happens, if all of a sudden you get some kind of natural disturbance and climatic disturbance in any kind, then your culture system may be affected. So all these conditions are taken care of when you are doing it in controlled condition in RAS, where you are having control of almost everything and you get very good production. But there are certain limitations of recirculatory aquaculture system, like social acceptability and lack of awareness. I will say this is not a very big concern if the other limitations are taken care of, but still this was earlier the case, but now people are aware and people have started accepting this culture system for fish as well as shrimps. So resource limitation for small scale farmers, this is something of concerning, that our small scale farmers or those small stakeholders, they do not have so much of resources or skills or expertise in order to start RAS. So and there are very, you need to have some ice breaking sessions with these stakeholders, so they get motivated and they have the courage to start this. And if you make them aware, if you provide them with the initial inputs of starting this, adopting this technology, then they will of course come up with some very encouraging results. Not affordable for small scale shrimp farmers due to technological advancement, but again I should say these technological advancements are not of that scale that a farmer cannot be trained for. We can train farmers for using this technology. In fact, that farmer has to only use this technology, so that farmer can use, if they can do induced breeding of carps, induced breeding of other fishes, they can do this also. Why not? They can operate hatcheries, they can do RAS system also, so that can be done. It's only a matter of coordination, and if everything goes in a coordinated manner, then we can do this. Requirement of sophisticated instruments, there are certain, but with little bit of know-how and training, they can be used very efficiently. Huge initial capital investment, of course there is huge capital investment. That's why I told you that huge investment, initial capital investment, and this resource limitation of small scale farmers. To me, these 2 points are in fact very limiting to especially small stakeholders, small farmers, for initiating a recirculatory aquaculture system or going for RAS, shifting from their traditional farming to RAS. So that's all in this lecture, and as I told you that I shall be taking the second part of this lecture very soon. Thank you so much.